Hi everyone, this is Eagle News. I'm Rose Papa Angeles in Washington. It's Saturday, February 11, 2023, here in the nation's capital. The week's recap begins with fading hope for survivors 4 days after a deadly earthquake devastated Turkey and Syria. This story and more on this week's Correspondent at Large with Thomas Likeness.
And now news and commentary from around the globe. This past week, people worldwide have witnessed a horrific calamity. That earthquake that struck Turkey and Syria. So much destruction. Such a large loss of life. At our broadcast deadline, the death toll was in excess of 21,000 people. More than 17,000 in Turkey, upwards of 3,000 in Syria. Countries around the globe have set aside political differences. They've pitched in to help with relief efforts. At this point, there's little hope any more survivors will be found. The focus now is on the aftermath, providing humanitarian aid, the massive job of helping people who have no place to go and no resources after the quake destroyed their homes and buried their belongings. Not only do these folks need shelter, the other basic needs, food and clothing, also have to be met. Water is in short supply. Plane loads of goods like this one from Greece are landing daily. They're bringing much-needed medical supplies and tents. It's cold there right now, temperatures below freezing. Of the two countries, Turkey is better able to deal with this. Syria still enduring that decade-old civil war, and that makes emergency response much harder. Hard times indeed. In Myanmar, some people are eking out a living by cleaning rivers. The country has been in an economic crisis since the 2021 military coup. More than 1 million people have lost their jobs, and they have to get creative to make ends meet, to be able to afford the cost of living. What you see here is a group of about a dozen people. They took their economic fate into their own hands. They spend their days cleaning this creek. At sunrise, they begin scouring the filthy waters for plastic and tin cans. They collect this recyclable material and sell it to traders. On a good day, they might make $10. Average is about $3. It's dangerous work. Tidal surges can knock them off their boats. And the water carries a reminder of the violence in the country. Pickers regularly see dead bodies floating in the creek among the debris. People who deliver food and groceries won't be happy about this development in Japan. Robots. Yeah, that's right. Robots are taking over the job. Japan is changing its road safety laws in April to allow these self-driving delivery robots to ply their trade. Trial runs are underway right now by technology companies. It's part of an experiment that businesses hope will address the labor shortages and rural isolation. Proponents say it could help the elderly and other shut-ins in depopulated areas to get access to things like food and medicine, other supplies. And this is a big issue because, 30% of Japan's population is over the age of 65, and many of them live in out-of-the-way areas. These automatons are doing more than just deliveries, though. Some have been peddling snacks on the streets of Tokyo. The robots won't be entirely on their own, though. They'll be supervised remotely by monitors who can intervene. If they are successful in rural areas, it's just a matter of time before they are in the cities, and you can bet this trend will go worldwide. Planning on visiting Costa Rica? Would you take your dog with you? Well, if you do, maybe your canine could take you to dinner. This restaurant in Costa Rica offers lunches, dinners, and parties for four-legged customers, and it has an innovative concept. Now, we've all heard of pet-friendly restaurants. This one is not pet-friendly. Rather, it's marketing itself as human-friendly. Dogs are the customers. Dogs are served by waiters. The eatery's owner, Ruben Rodriguez, says there are playground areas for the dogs as well. And he says owners can come in too, but as a guest of their pet. And I'll be back in 7 days. In the meantime, I wish you all peace, joy, and happiness in the ensuing week. Thomas I. Likeness, Correspondent at Large, Eagle News. We live in extraordinary times.
In other news, Canada enforces more sanctions against Russia and individuals and organizations in the country that it says are complicit in distributing misinformation about the war. Yolanda Espiras reports.
Canada remains firm in its effort to weaken Russia's ability to fund its war against Ukraine by enforcing more price caps on Russian petroleum and imposing more sanctions against specific individuals and organizations. Canada, alongside its G7 partners and Australia, are putting a price cap for petroleum products coming from Russia. This week, the maximum price for Russian petroleum products will be $100 per barrel for premium to crude petroleum and $45 for discount to crude products. Price caps have been designed to reduce Russian revenues and weaken its ability to support its war. Canada is also sanctioning 38 more individuals and 16 organizations that it regards as complicit in distributing disinformation and propaganda. Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau continues to call Russia's war against Ukraine brutal and barbaric. Yolanda Espiras, Toronto, Ontario, Eagle News. We live in extraordinary times.
Meanwhile, aiming to save millions of women against breast cancer, the World Health Organization announces a new roadmap on battling the disease. Rosel Feria has the details.
The World Health Organization releases a new global breast cancer initiative framework. Its goal? To save 2.5 million lives from breast cancer by the year 2040. The new framework recommends implementation of the 3 pillars of health promotion for early detection, timely diagnosis, and comprehensive management of breast cancer to reach the targets. WHO says that every year, more than 2.3 million breast cancer cases occur, and in almost all countries, breast cancer is the first or second leading cause of female cancer deaths. The health agency says survival from breast cancer is widely inequitable between and within countries. Nearly 80% of deaths from breast and cervical cancer occur in low and middle-income countries. WHO Director General Dr. Tedros Adhanom Ghebreyesus says countries with weaker health systems are least able to manage the increasing burden of breast cancer. He says this places a tremendous strain on individuals, families, communities, health systems, and economies. Dr. Tedros urges countries to make this a priority for ministries of health and governments everywhere. A recent study suggests that with an estimated 4.4 million women dying of cancer in 2020, nearly 1 million children were orphaned, 25% of which were due to breast cancer. The newly published framework presents tried and tested strategies to design country-specific, resource-appropriate health systems. This for the delivery of breast cancer care in low and middle-income settings. Rosel Feria, Washington, D.C., Eagle News. We live in extraordinary times.
The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, or CDC, reveals that adults on dialysis treatment for end-stage kidney disease were 100 times more likely to have a staph bloodstream infection than adults not on dialysis. This between 2017 to 2020. What does this mean for Black and Hispanic patients on dialysis? Carlo Valdez reports.
The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention says more than half of the people here in the United States who receive dialysis belong to a racial or ethnic minority group. About 1 in every 3 people receiving dialysis is Black. 1 in every 5 is Hispanic. CDC data find patients on dialysis in these groups have higher rates of staph bloodstream infections than white patients on dialysis. CDC says staph bloodstream infections can be serious. They can even be deadly. Some infections are resistant to some of the most common antibiotics used to treat them. This makes the drugs ineffective. CDC data confirm one of the key ways healthcare providers can reduce the risk of infection is by using lower risk alternatives. Other challenges for many patients on dialysis include lack of access to preventive care for conditions, lack of patient education about treatment options, extended use of a central venous catheter, and socioeconomic factors including poverty, household crowding, and lower education levels. Carlo Valdez, Union, New Jersey, Eagle News. We live in extraordinary times.
School meals here in the United States might just get the healthy boost they need. Steps to improve children's health through nutritious school meals have been announced by the Agricultural Department. Melissa Potes has the details. Here's Health is Wealth.
With more than 30 million children in the U.S. depending on free and reduced school lunches, the Department of Agriculture announces major initiatives that will support and enhance the health of America's kids. This is through better and healthier school meals. At the Conversation on Healthy School Meals Roundtable, the USDA says many children are not getting the nutrition they need. Diet-related diseases are on the rise. Agriculture Secretary Tom Vilsack says research shows school meals are the healthiest meals in the day for most kids. He says this proves that they are an important tool for giving kids access to the nutrition they need for a bright future. The agriculture chief underscores that strengthening school meals is one of the best ways to achieve the country's 2030 goal of ending hunger and reducing diet-related disease. A few important proposed updates by the Food and Nutrition Service, or FNS, to the standards supporting healthy kids include limiting added sugars in certain high-sugar products and later across schools' weekly menu, allowing flavored milk in certain circumstances and with reasonable limits on added sugars, incrementally reducing weekly sodium limits over many school years, and emphasizing products that are primarily whole grain with the option for occasional non-whole grain products. FNS encourages all interested parties to comment on the proposed school meal standards rule during the 60-day comment period, which started February 7th. Visit fns.usda.gov. Melissa Potes, Orlando, Florida, Eagle News. We live in extraordinary times.
Returning to the LA Coliseum, NASCAR season opening race, the Clash at the Coliseum was packed with bumper-to-bumper skirmishes. A field of 27 drivers fought for position on an oval-shaped course, the size of a single Olympic track and field lap. In Los Angeles, California, Eva and Alan with the report.
NASCAR's Clash at the Coliseum sees Martin Truex Jr. of Joe Gibbs Racing as the season opener's big winner.
Taking into account that NASCAR is celebrating its 75th anniversary and the Coliseum its 100th, this victory adds a level of prestige to an already auspicious race.
In this crowded 150-lap contest, drivers couldn't afford to wait for openings, but constantly had to push and bump each other to create their own way through.
Alan Boss, Yahoo Eagle Broadcasting Net 25. At or about 24 laps left to go is when you took the lead, and despite a lot of restarts, really fought off the pack. Can you take us through what you're going through mentally and emotionally when you dropped the hammer? And also, now that you won this tight quarter-mile track, you feel more confident driving through LA traffic?
LA traffic's no problem. It's just like Jersey traffic, you know. But I hate traffic. I hate all of it. You know, on the restarts at the end, it's like, it's frustrating when you got a big lead and then, you know, like the 34 was trying to get off. He rode around like at 10 miles an hour for 3 or 4 laps. He should have just got off. Obviously, he wasn't going to finish the race, so why was he just riding around? So that was frustrating. Then the other stuff, you know, it's just, you know, guys getting into each other on a tiny little track and getting spun out and things. So, you know, the restarts, you're just trying to get a good jump and then not screw it up. I was having lots of brake issues. Not sure what was going on. Our rear brakes were got too hot or we did something and we lost all the rear braking and started locking up front tires getting in the corner, and I just kept putting more rear brake in, and I was about to be out of adjustment. I've never ever in my whole entire career put that many rounds of rear brake in a car. It was a little sketchy at the end, but everybody was out of tires, and we had so many restarts and so much air in our tires that everybody just kind of was slipping and slide. Luckily, I was just able to get a good enough jump and get cleared, and then just try not to give it away and totally miss a corner.
After going winless last season, taking the clash is a definite boost for Martin and his team.
But this was a tight race, and how do we know? Because with so many spinouts and restarts, the pace car was on the track, almost as much as the other drivers.
Evan Allen, Los Angeles, California. Eagle News. We live in extraordinary times.
The Department of Homeland Security, Arizona state and local officials are working on the safety and security of employees, players, and fans during this weekend's Super Bowl 57. Ken Cruz has more.
In Phoenix and Glendale, Arizona, Department of Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas inspects security operations as the pregame week kicks off. Super Bowl 57 will be hosted at the State Farm Stadium in Glendale, Arizona on February 12th. Thousands will be joining the Kansas City Chiefs and Philadelphia Eagles at the stadium as the two face off this Sunday. DHS says its support for Super Bowl includes over 600 personnel, providing, among other things, extensive air security resources, venue, cyber, and infrastructure security assessments, and explosives detection technologies. The department says, however, it has not identified any credible threats related to this event. DHS reminds the public to be aware of suspicious activity and how to report it to local authorities. By staying alert, you can protect your Super Bowl experience. And if you see something that looks suspicious, say something. Ken Cruz, Washington, D.C., Eagle News. We live in extraordinary times.
Speaking of the Super Bowl, our Eagle News team asked football fans about favorite foods at Super Bowl gatherings, the much-awaited halftime show, and of course their prediction on which team will take home the trophy. Here's Melissa Potes with the blitz of answers that they got.
Super Bowl 57 is set with the Kansas City Chiefs taking on the Philadelphia Eagles. With Super Bowl party preparations in high gear, we took to the streets to find out if individuals were more excited for the game, the halftime show, or the food. We also got the predictions on who they feel will be taking home the Lombardi Trophy.
I'm really excited to see the Chiefs and the Eagles play in the Super Bowl.
I am more excited about the food.
The game.
Number one is the food.
Oh wow, I would say the game.
I'm excited to watch the game.
I'm definitely most excited for the food.
I say I'm more excited for the game.
Food?
More happy to watch the game.
Favorite Super Bowl food? It's gotta be
pizza,
chips and dips,
Buffalo Wild Wings,
French fries,
pancit,
chicken wings,
desserts,
nachos,
sisig,
pizza, burgers,
7-layer nachos,
and of course, chili.
Because you can't have a Super Bowl party with no chicken wings.
No, I'm definitely excited to see, I know Rihanna's performing.
Oh my gosh, Rihanna. I am not really.
I'm excited to see how well she does after having been off for so long.
My favorite halftime performance was
Snoop Dogg, Eminem, Dr. Dre, and 50 Cent.
Probably the Michael Jackson and Whitney.
I gotta say Eminem, Dr. Dre, Snoop Dogg.
It has been good since Bruno Mars.
I think the Philadelphia Eagles will win, most definitely.
I think the Chiefs is going to win.
I think the Eagles are going to win.
I think the Chiefs.
I think the Chiefs will win.
The Eagles. The Eagles are gonna win easy.
The Eagles.
The Chiefs.
Eagles going down. Let's go!
I think it's going to come down to a tight end play or a defensive play.
Well, you know, Jalen Hurts is on a roll right now.
Because of Patrick Mahomes, I genuinely think that he is the best quarterback right now in the league. I just don't really see him losing 2 Super Bowls.
He has good throwing skills and he can throw any types of throws.
They have the best offensive line in the league and the best defensive line in the league. And when in football, those are the things that, you know, separates wins and losses. So I think it's going to be too much for Kansas City.
I just think that the Chiefs don't have the right defense to be able to stop the Eagles.
Patrick Mahomes is Patrick Mahomes.
It's because Jalen Hurts. He squatted 600 pounds. He's just a beast of a man.
Patrick Mahomes, he's better connecting on the scramble.
I think initially it'll be close, and then in the third quarter you'll start to see the game really shape up and who's going to actually win. And I think it'll be Philly at the end.
Let's go, Super Bowl week.
Whether it's the game, the food, or the entertainment, Super Bowl 57 has something for everyone. Melissa Potas, Orlando, Florida, Eagle News. We live in extraordinary times.
Our down-to-earth story today brings us to the port of Corpus Christi, Texas. It was recently awarded $16.4 million in CarbonSAFE grants from the U.S. Department of Energy. The port of Corpus Christi is currently the top exporter of crude oil in the United States. Here's Jane Kathleen Gregorio with the report.
The Port of Corpus Christi, Texas, was recently granted $16.4 million through the U.S. Department of Energy's Carbon Storage Assurance Facility Enterprise, also known as CarbonSAFE. The Port of Corpus Christi was the sole recipient of the CarbonSAFE funding in Texas and was given the largest total award of those announced by the DOE. The initiative will include 2 distinctly funded projects. One will gather geologic data from onshore port-owned property, and the other will collect the data from offshore state-owned tracts. Each of the 2 proposed projects are designed to accelerate a solution for capturing and storing carbon dioxide emissions to reduce the amount entering the atmosphere, thus lessening global warming. The goal is to store at least 50 million metric tons of carbon dioxide over a 30-year period. Chief Executive Officer for the Port of Corpus Christi, Sean Strawbridge, stated, "This award is a significant and historic step in the Port of Corpus Christi's ambition to position the Texas Coastal Bend region as the nation's premier carbon management hub." The Port of Corpus Christi, which celebrated its 100th anniversary in 2022, is currently the largest port in the United States when it comes to total revenue tonnage. And last December, it reached an all-time high for crude oil exports, exceeding 70 million barrels in a month for the first time in its history, due in large part to the Russian invasion of Ukraine, which caused the US and Western European allies to place restrictive trade sanctions against Russia, resulting in an increased demand for US crude oil exports. The port accounts for roughly 60% of all crude oil exports, according to research from firm RBN Energy.
Port of Corpus Christi pays tribute to the last 100 years and the people of the port who delivered us here. We look forward to the next 100 years and the voyages ahead.
Jane Kathleen Gregorio, Eagle News, Corpus Christi, Texas. We live in extraordinary times.
A recognizable brand in the online banking world, Ally Financial continues to expand its affiliation with professional motorsports. It has recently struck a multi-year deal with NASCAR to become one of the association's official partners. In Los Angeles, California, Eva and Alan again on Mind Your Business.
Big news from the world of motorsports. Ally Financial was announced as official consumer banking partner of NASCAR.
Lending his endorsement to this venture is former NFL player and Super Bowl champ Bernard Pollard.
Ally it made sense. When you look at everything that they're about, as far as being inclusive, diversity, as far as wanting to bring the best out of people, wanting to step into communities that may not look like whatever, or may not look like you or where you came from. They want to step out there, and by doing that, they're a leader. They've gone out. I've been with them where we've stepped into communities and helped people less fortunate, right? And they don't do it for show.
They want to make a real difference in the local communities that we race in. They want to make a real difference in those communities and grow the sport, grow the brand, and a more diverse audience. Those are things that are super important to us as well. So when you think about business objectives aligning, but also social responsibilities objectives aligning too, it's a perfect marriage, and we couldn't be more excited about today's announcement of Allied.
You are going to definitely see more of Ally's presence across the nation. You'll see us again at our entitlement race in Nashville, the Ally 400. That'll be big, but we'll also have a huge presence at all the NASCAR tracks as well. We are going to be launching a new film, a new spot that will go along sort of with this idea of our foundational partnership with Hendrick Motorsports, now the NASCAR partnership, celebrating the history of this great sport, the evolution and the transformation that it continues to make over time, and looking forward what's to come. So you'll start to see something really exciting come into play around Daytona.
Ally's distinctive color scheme is easily spotted on its number 48 car.
And now with its new partnership, Ally's purple and white presence is bound to be more widespread at NASCAR events.
Yvonne Allen, Los Angeles, California, Eagle News. We live in extraordinary times.
In Singapore, fans of international box office movie Avatar get the opportunity to feel the Pandora experience. Our very own Jeff Sanidad traveled all the way to Gardens by the Bay to see it for himself. And today, he gets to share it with us. Here's Adventure Awaits.
14 years ago, when the first Avatar movie was released, fans were introduced to a magnificent fiction world of Na'vi-inhabited Pandora. Join us as we explore and connect with this fictional alien world of Pandora. Let's get a glimpse of its bioluminescent environments, mystical creatures, flora, and the captivating culture of its indigenous people, the Na'vi. Inspired by the unique storytelling of James Cameron, the globally highest-grossing film of all time, Avatar, visitors are welcomed by its iconic vision of waterfalls, spiraling walkways, and a unique architectural glass greenhouse. Take a closer look at the creatures like Prolimerus, Viper Wolf, Hammerhead Titanothere, and a collection of flora like Fiddlehead, Scorpion Tizzle, wild orchids, and many more. Enjoy a close encounter with a full-scale parent Banshee in motion. Interact up close with the first realization of a baby Banshee and a Viper Wolf pup. To take it a bit further, visitors can avatarize themselves using an AVTR program. This simulates the avatar creation of human to Na'vi. At the end of the simulation, you can picture yourself as a Na'vi. The Lost World allows guests to see the amazing plants from all over the world that inspired the collections of flora of Pandora, all of which you will only see in the exhibit. Experience flying a Banshee connected to you. Remember to feel the connection. See the Elu, exclusively premiered in Singapore, the new marine creature from the Avatar, The Way of Water. Discover their natural habitat representation and how gracefully they can swim. Visitors to Cloud Forest featuring avatars at Gardens by the Bay are in for something amazing. Be among the first people on the planet to see, explore, and connect with this spectacular story told like never before. This exhibit will be open until March 31st, 2023. Jeff Sanidad, Singapore, Eagle News. We live in extraordinary times.
It's time for food! Today, Aika Ira shows us how to make this savory, very easy to prepare, meat-free, but protein-filled dish, Skillet Chickpeas. Here's Behind the Counter.
Hey, I'm Aika, and welcome back to Behind the Counter, where we see easy and tasty meals be brought to life. have a recipe for you this week that won't take too much skill to make. Let's take a look at this skillet chickpeas dish. Back here for full recipes, and if there's a dish that you'd like to see, let us know in the comments below. Catch us on EagleNewsLive.com, on our Eagle News YouTube channel, and our Facebook page. Check back next time when we go behind the counter.
And before we let you go, here's our photo of the week. This is a photo by Aina Mendoza of our New York Bureau, taken at Pier 35 in New York City. What a great way to unwind. Thank you all for joining us again. If there are stories or topics you want us to share with you, just comment below. View, like, share our other shows. City Limits with Alan Basayahe. Connected with Dr. David. Take a seat and join us with Anna Kui. Play Date with Mike Hudson and friends. Plus, Journey, Stories of Filipinos in Canada with Kathleen Cruz. Follow us on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter at Eagle News Live. I am Rose Papa Angeles. We'll live in extraordinary times. Happy weekend, everyone!